Hi friends, welcome to Yarn Over Heels, your cozy podcast about sewing, knitting and creating a handmade wardrobe. I'm Mel and in today's episode I am going to give you an update on what I've been making, my sewing and knitting projects, if I've been able to already achieve some of my spring and summer sewing and knitting goals.
It's yarn over heels, so grab a seat. Let's make together, stitch and repeat. With Mel to chat and share what's new. A handmade life just right for you.
So today I would love to invite you to sit with me on my sofa and have a little chat about my sewing and knitting projects, what has been on my needles, what has been under my sewing foot, and yeah. In Austria, in the mountains, spring is definitely on its way, but the weather has been very unreliable. Last week we had another cold spell. It was windy and rainy, and up in the mountains, in the forest, we did even have snow again. And yeah, so that was, well, I guess it's just our spring weather. But nevertheless, nature is coming alive, and also in our garden. I loved watching everything just starting to grow, and the birds have been going crazy. I put together a little footage to take you with me on a little hike in the forest and also spend some time with me in the garden. And then we will get into the sewing and knitting projects. But before we do that, let me very quickly tell you what I'm wearing. This is the Seaway pullover by Osetta. And I knit this in the alpaca socks from Lang Yarns and the 4-ply. And yeah, I have loved wearing it. And what am I drinking today? I have, of course, my trusty doggy mug. This is my favorite because these two just remind me of my dogs, which you will meet in a moment. So grab yourself also a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you'd like, and please enjoy. Let's start with my finished objects. First off, the Soul Sister scarf by Sari Nordlund. All it is missing is this little tag I would still like to add, but other than that, it is done. And yeah, I've been working on it for quite a while. I started on November 15th and finished on February 28th. And yeah, I feel like it was a project on the side, so that is just fine. But yeah, I would say it took quite a bit to finish. It was knit up on 4mm needles, and the yarn was the Isair yarn Alpaca 2 in dark gray. and paired with the Lang Yarns alpaca socks. I think the 4-ply and in dark gray melange. This is the same yarn as this sweater, and it is extremely soft and squishy. And the fabric this creates, the texture is just gorgeous. It is so, so soft. While I really do love the finished project or product, I have to say that I will admit that in the end I got a little tired. How did I style it? I think just once. I think this will probably pick up on the microphone. I'm probably going to style it. I will just put in a picture, you know what. Yeah. So, this has been my second Soul Sister scarf, and if I am being completely honest with you, while I do love both of them, like the finished scarves, my small tiny scarf and also this a little bit bigger one, in the end I was just so done with this pattern. It has these little the stitches are, I don't know how well you can tell what's going on here, but you have to pull through and create these loops. And this is just something I was being very careful about making these loops the same size and length. I probably wouldn't have needed to do that, but I felt like now that I started like pulling each one out a bit, I just couldn't stop. And so because I was afraid it would give me uneven fabric in the end if at some point I just started to kind of, I don't know, arrange these loops in their length. So that was what I was doing, and it was a bit exhausting. But, well, I like the finished product. Yeah, the Soul Sister scarf. And my next finished object, and I only have 2 finished knitting objects, and the second one is my Minou scarf by Luisa Rehkopf. And as you can see, this is another tiny scarf, and it has a lovely pattern made out of this half fisherman's rib and a very simple cable twist. Yeah, and I started this on March 6th and finished on March 12th. So this was a very quick knit, and yeah, it was knit up on 4mm needles, and the size is the headband size. I just added, I think, 2 pattern repeats or even 3. I just lengthened it until I had a feeling it would go around my neck twice, and I didn't want it to be any, well, just wider. So I thought this thin one was really nice. And the yarn I used is the Lana Grossa Lace Seta Mulberry, and in the color terracotta, and I paired it with the Fil Soie, or at least I think Fil Mohair Soie Praline, or Praline, or Praline. I'm not so sure about that name, but these are the yarns I used, and it gives a very subtle, not even really mild effect, but I think it kind of highlights the cables and this half fisherman's rib. And I also added a little tag just at the back of it in the middle. And yeah, fun fact, at the very, very, very last cable repeat, I suddenly realized I have been doing all of my cables wrong for all the scarf, and I was like, oh no. I don't know. Sometimes when I look at a chart, I will be like, oh yeah, I know that one. Okay, that's fine. I know what I'm doing. And then after a while, I find out, oh, that probably was just another cable cross, and I would have been supposed to cross 4 stitches in the front, and then for the next twist, 3 and no, let me say that again. So I was supposed to do a cable twist where you cross 4 stitches in the front and 3 in the back, and the next twist would be 3 stitches crossed in the front and knit 4 in the back. So yeah, that was what they wanted me to do, and well, I just always did 4 stitches in the front and knit 3. And yeah, well, I'm not sure. I mean, if you know what you're doing when it comes to knitting, you can probably tell. I don't see that big of a difference, and I really do love how it looks. And also, I have learned a new technique, because this half fisherman's rib is created by yarn overs. I have never done that before, and I found it to go just, it was very easy to do. I liked that version of half fisherman's rib, and I can definitely see myself making more of these, and I already casted on another one, and I will show you in a moment. Okay, this was my second finished knitting object. So let's move on to my finished sewing projects, which is actually very exciting because I have not been sewing, well, more or less at all in 2024. I tried to sew some pants and the blouse, but they never got finished, and that was it. And mainly due to health reasons, I just stuck to knitting. So I am actually very excited about those finished sewing projects. And I really do hope to get more in the swing of sewing again in 2025. And I feel like I'm off to a good start. So first I made a basic instinct tee by Sasha Secondopiano. This is a absolute staple pattern for me, tried and true, and it is just perfect. It is slightly fitted, but not too much, so not form-fitting or even negative ease, but slightly fitted, and yeah, a really good pattern. And I made this in a size L. The fabric was some, let me show you close up. It's a white cotton jersey I had in my stash. I'd say mid-weight, and I used some leftovers, knit jersey leftovers, to bind my neckline, and I added a little tag, and yeah, that's what it looks like. It also has got a little reminder what year I made it in on the sleeve, and yeah, I did. Well, there's a fun story about this pattern. As I told you, I have made it. I told you this in my last video about my sewing and knitting spring plans, and this basic instinct tee, which is a free pattern by the way, and this has been just one of my favorite patterns, and I have made it so many times. Like, if I had to guess, I don't really know, and I have already thrown out very old versions that have just been worn through, but I'd say I probably made 15 to 20 of these already. And for some reason, not for the life of me, could I find my traced pattern. It was just gone. I couldn't find it, and I couldn't find the printed paper pattern itself. So I had to download it again and trace it again. But the good side of this story, now I can tell you very exactly what modifications I did. So, the modifications. I traced a size L without checking the size chart because I was sure I had always made a size L. Now I'm beginning to think I might always have made a size M, but that's on me for just not checking and assuming. L would be the size. So this is actually a bit more loose fitting. I probably wouldn't have needed it, but oh well, not gonna fuss about it, it's fine. And for the modifications themselves, I did a broad shoulder adjustment of an added 1 centimeter here in the shoulder area on both sides, which is a very common adjustment I do like to make because I am very broad shouldered and my upper bust measurement is actually the same as my true bust measurement. So that is just something I like to do, especially when the sleeves are fitted and not a dropped shoulder. I usually do it. And also I lengthened the body by 3 centimeters and the sleeves by 2 centimeters to account for my height of 178 centimeters. And that is also something I usually do. I add length to everything. Yeah. Okay, so that was the Basic Instinct tee. And the next thing that is almost finished, but not quite, I will show you in a second. This looks just so messy. Okay, these lounge pants, they are the Burdastyle lounge pants, and with the terrific name of Sweathose mit Paspelband or something along these lines. They always have the just most boring names. And the number would be 119 out of their January 2021 magazine issue. So I made a size 40 modified. I'll come to the modifications in a moment. And I made these in the French terry I had been eyeing in the last episode, in the spring planning episode, and I just thought, you know what, why not just go ahead and do it in this sweat fabric and give the pattern a try. And yeah, I have to say, well, I feel, I should also show you this, just this on the side, this fabric inlay, or I'm not sure how this would be called in English, but yeah, it's a nice pattern. I do like it, although, well, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I should have remembered that with most patterns, pants patterns, I do need to lower my front rise. Most of the sewing patterns just don't fit me perfectly out of the box. So that is just not, well, usually not happening for me. And that is the one thing I should probably address by just, I mean, I could just lower it now by, it is really 2.5 centimeters I would have to take out just on the front. But that could prove tricky because lowering it just between the pockets is basically impossible, because 2.5 centimeters is a lot. I mean, an whole inch. And I do not really want to take the whole front apart. So I'm probably just going to live with it, but definitely remember for my next pair. What I also did do, and that is something I like to do, I pick a size based on my hip measurement, but go up a size for my waist measurement, because I don't have a very slim waist. And usually it is way more comfortable around my tummy if I just go up a size. And that is what I did. I did that grading to another size really up here in that in this uppermost part of the pants, and that's enough for me to make them fit very well. And yeah, I didn't do any of the piping that was suggested in the pattern. Especially when I try out a new pattern, I would never just do that. I didn't sew a muslin or anything. This is basically my more or less muslin, but I of course hoped it would be wearable. And while it's not perfect, it definitely is wearable. And yeah, so I didn't do the piping. And also, probably interesting for you to know, I lengthened the legs by 5 centimeters to account for my body height. And also I did do the waistband with these little tunnels where you add just the narrower elastics, but more of them, which most of the time is much more comfortable than just adding a wide elastic. At least I feel like it is more comfortable, but it is so much work. This waistband took me forever. And because of that, I did stop. And at first, I just wanted, it's just threaded through and not yet sewn down, because I thought I will just do a fake, like mock drawstring. And because I just couldn't see myself threaded through this mid-tunnel, I was just so done with trying to get stuff through small tunnels. Not my favorite thing to do. But then I thought, oh, it would be kind of nice to have a true drawstring, although I do not really need it, because, I don't know, I'm not yet decided. Yeah, we will see what will happen to the drawstring, but still, I do count them as finished. Okay, and I have a third finished sewing object, which is even a surprise to me. I managed to sew up this little tee. It is the clean cut tee, and it's an Ottobre design pattern, and I have sewn it up in this apricot ribbed jersey fabric, and I bound the neckline again with just a strip of knit jersey, and I added a little tag, and another, let me just open it up, because it has another little tag down here on the side seam. And yeah, I unfortunately cannot tell you much about the pattern itself, because I have traced this a long time ago, and I didn't take any notes. I can let you know it's a size 40, and I would assume, because I usually do, that I made my broad shoulder adjustment, and also I lengthened the body and probably the sleeves by a couple centimeters, probably. But I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, otherwise it's a nice fit. And I do like the color. It's a true spring color to me, but it has this kind of beige undertone which makes it really versatile. So I love it. However, I will say that although my machine is really good at sewing very stretchy and difficult fabrics, and she has a walking foot which really helps with that kind of stuff. But this did give me a bit of trouble because I do not have a cover lock, so I am doing my hems just with a zigzag, a narrow zigzag, and it wasn't a good combo with this ribbed fabric. I had to iron and steam the heck out of it to make it look more or less flat. And it's still slightly wavy, as you can probably tell down here, and well, just not perfect. And also same goes for the neckline. The fabric was a bit tricky to sew with, but that is, I don't know, I feel like with these ribbed jerseys, it's always a gamble. Sometimes they just work out perfectly and sometimes they don't. But overall, I think it's an absolute win, and I can't wait to start wearing it now that I have shown you my newest sewing and knitting mix. So let's just take a moment to think back about my spring and summer sewing and knitting plans, and the wide leg lounge pants were on there. Also the boxy and more fitted cotton knit t-shirts and tiny scarves. So I already managed to tick off 4 points of that list, which makes me really happy because all of them were just things I needed in my wardrobe. Okay, that was my finished objects, and now let's move on to what I'm working on. Let's start with what's on my needles. And exciting news, I did cast on 2 new projects. First off, let me show you my Maggie cardigan. I am still just at the yoke part, working on that very unique shoulder construction, which is partly a saddle shoulder that is then kind of developing into a raglan seam. I don't know if you really can tell in the video, but this was a lot of fun to construct because it was just so different. And yeah, I am just in the middle of the yoke section, and my yarns are the pattern. Oh, I am so sorry. The pattern is by Petiteknit, and I cast it on March 10th, and I cast on a size XL because I just got so frightened it would be too fitted. I am just not a big fan if stuff just clings to my body. So I'm always kind of terrified that could happen. And to be honest, my other cardigan I have on my needles is kind of, I don't know, it's turning out very small, I feel. So when I cast this on, I went for a size XL. And I'm not sure I really needed it. We will see. But I am kind of not sure, because when a yoke already looks like huge, that is usually kind of a warning sign. At least, I don't know, I feel like it is. But I will just keep at it and see how it goes. Also, I thought I did my gauge swatch on 3.5 millimeter needles because I mark my gauge swatches by just adding little knots to the yarn ends, and each knot signifies just one needle size. So if I had knitted on 3.5 millimeter needles, I would make 3 knots and a tiny loop. So the loop for me is just the half size in between. And I looked at my swatch and I saw my 3 knots and the loop, and I thought, oh yeah, 3.5 millimeter needles. And I started knitting, happily knitting away, and that is actually, there are quite a few hours of work in there already. And at some point I find one of the yarn labels, the little yarn papers, and on the inside I had written 3.25 millimeter, and I thought, oh no, because I have no technique to mark on my swatches like quarter sizes in between needles, so I just don't do that. And yep, so I actually swatched on 3.25 millimeter needles, but am now knitting it on bigger needles, which might make it actually even bigger, which is, yeah, a bit worrying, but as I said, there is already a lot of work in it, and I'm just going to give it a try, and if it's too big, I will find someone who will love it. I mean, yeah, that's how things go. Or I will maybe just try it on when I split for sleeves and then decide what I do. We will see. And yeah, let me just tell you the rest of it. So it is knit up in Isair Alpaca 1 in the color navy blue, and this is the La Mana Merida in the color Marine, and together it's a nice blue color, but I have to admit that I didn't expect it to be this mild. It's very, I don't know if it is picking up very well, but it is really having a mild effect, and I didn't expect that. And I could already tell by the swatch, and I was like, yeah, I am not so fond of that marling, but let's just see how it looks on a bigger fabric, because sometimes that can make a difference. And I am still not a 100% sold on how it looks. So right now I am having quite some question marks about the size I am getting and how the fabric is working up, but I'm still giving it a bit of time, and will probably, as I said, split for the sleeves, try it on, and sometimes a yarn or color combination can also grow on you, so I'm trying to just be kind with it and give myself some time to get used to that mild effect that I wasn't going for. But yeah, that is the Maggie cardigan in my little, what are they called? Wild boars? I got this little bag in Tuscany where they have a lot of wild boars. So that is my project bag. Then my next project that is on my needles that I cast on newly is this tiny little start of the Minou scarf. It looks so funny. It looks like it's some doll clothing. It's so hard to see on camera. I don't even know how to show you. It is a modified version of the Minou scarf. I am going to do the cabling, and this time correctly, with the 4-stitch cross and alternating with a 3-stitch cross, and in between a much longer stretch of fisherman's rib. And my thought was, as with this very, very dark blue color, so of course the pattern details are the same as for the Minou scarf we talked about earlier, same needles, same headband size, and so on. I am just using a different yarn. This is a cashmere I have had in my stash forever. It is the Lana Grossa Cashmere 16 Fine, and it doesn't say the color, it just says color 12. It's a navy blue, I would say, and it's a lovely yarn, and I know I will love this as a scarf. And my plans are, as it is a kind of dark yarn in this very dark navy blue, you can't see too much of the cabling. And so I thought I would just do a long stretch of the half fisherman's rib, and at the midway point maybe do a bit of a longer cabling section with 2 or 3 cables like the original pattern, and then do a longer stretch of the half fisherman's rib again and end with that cabled tip. I don't know if it's adjusting. I think it's adjusting on my hand. I'm sorry. This yarn is really hard to show. Okay, so that's the Minou scarf, another tiny scarf, which makes for excellent travel knitting because you don't have to think about anything. And as I'm not even following the original pattern, there is no chart or anything you have to think about. You just keep going. So I really love it. And this one is traveling in my little doggy pouch. This is a project bag a friend of mine has sewn for me. And yeah, I love to take this one on the road with me. So the last thing on my needles is my Beatrix cardigan. And here it is. And yeah, to be honest, I did make some progress. I finished the body. So the ribbing is done, it's bound off in tubular rib. I'm jumping around awfully, I'm sorry. I should just stick to telling you the basic details about this cardigan, but I feel like we have talked about this in the earlier episodes, so I'm just always assuming you guys know all this already, but of course you don't. And so this is the Beatrix cardigan by Gregoria Fibres. I started it on January 10th. So I have already been knitting on it for 3 months, and I am only just on my first sleeve. Yep, and I am making a size 4 on 4mm needles, and the yarn is the Isair Highland Wool Wine and the Isair yarn Tweed in the color Autumn. So the body is finished. I tried to make it a little bit more cropped, and I, as I said, started on the first sleeve, so now we can see a bit more of that gorgeous cable. Yeah, I feel like I did not make too much progress. I was focusing a bit on the Maggie cardigan, and also the Isair Tweed is a bit hard on my hands for whatever reason. That is just not the most comfortable yarn for me to knit with. So I actually felt like I wanted to take a little break from the Beatrix cardigan, and yeah, I will just work at it from time to time, but I am expecting this to just make an appearance in the podcast for quite a while. let me show you what sewing projects I have started, and I'm just trying to, whoa, not drop anything. Yeah, well, that didn't work out. Oops. So the yarn is gone, but never mind. I already picked out some labels, 2 of them, and the yarn, where is it? There it is. I will be using, and the fabric is this lovely speckled cotton jersey from Lebenskleidung, and this is the Grasser Patterns Women's T-shirt number 612 in a size 50. No modifications. Whenever I make one of their patterns, I don't have to adjust the shoulders or the length, because their patterns do come in different body heights. So they are drafted for different body heights, and you can just pick your height. And I found that whenever I pick just my height, I do not have to change anything anymore. It is kind of brilliant, I have to say. So, yep, that is my Grasser 612 to be. And next up, very excitingly, I did cut out another pair of lounge pants in this dark gray jeans jersey, and that's the back side and the front. And I will not open it up because it's just it's cut out pattern pieces. So these are the rest of my pattern pieces and the labels I did pick out. And what is kind of exciting about this pattern, it is yet another version of the Vikisews Britney pants. And I told you in my spring and summer sewing plans episode that this is just my most tried and true pants pattern I have ever made. And I have made so many different versions of it. And now I just felt, after making these Burda lounge pants and just seeing that it was no more than an okayish fit, and I thought, why not turn the Britney pants into wide leg lounge pants? Why not? I have made them in sweat fabric already, also in denim jersey, so I already know the pattern works with knit fabrics, and I just had to adjust the legs, and I did that, and I am really excited to see how those will sew up. The last part of today's video will be plans and acquisitions, because I feel like my sojo has been reignited, and I already have blown through most of my fabric stash that I still had from, well, basically I think probably 2020, 2021. I might have bought a little bit of fabric in 2022. I don't even remember. It has been quite a while, and I had a fairly big stash, and now it is almost all used up, especially all the solids and basic fabrics. There wasn't too much anymore, and that was when I decided to place 2 orders to replenish my stocks. So I did get myself this waffle jersey that would absolutely lend itself to a skirt or even a summer wrap dress. I have a pattern in mind I have made several times before, the Fibre Mood Vienna dress, and I can see myself making it work in knit fabric, although it was drafted for wovens, but that could absolutely work. I also did get some swimwear fabric. It is just a black ribbed fabric, and this is by Meat Milk, and the quality is excellent. So I was hoping for just this kind of sturdy, not super stretchy swimwear fabric. I mean, it is stretchy, of course, but not like crazy stretchy. So I am hoping this will sew up beautifully. I did buy a bit more of the, I hope I'm not telling you wrong. I think it is Mind the Maker. I'm always confusing Mind the Maker and Meat Milk. And this is just their plain tencel jersey in the dark blue colorway. And this will definitely become a very simple knit t-shirt because I definitely need more of them. And this is a black French terry, and it's not brushed. It's quite thin, like really surprisingly thin and stretchy, with a very smooth surface. And these will become jog pants, or at least that's my intention for them now. And I also did get some labels. I am so fond of this one. It says, if it's focusing, yeah, now it does, no coffee for Nazis. And I saw it, I had to have it. And same goes for, let me just shake them down. For these, I have had them in the past, and just one of them, they were part of a Sari Sewist pack, and now I saw they were available like a pack with just them, and I got these. And I have some more denim jersey in 2 colors, and these will also be jog pants or lounge pants. And just so you know, this is not, this is really fabric. I'm going to wash it and put it in my fabric cupboard. And I just like to have these very basic fabrics at hand, because when I just feel like making myself a pair of jog pants, or I don't know, a summer dress or t-shirts, I like to have just a bit of fabric, very basic fabric that I can use. So I now used up all I had, and that is just me trying to have a bit in stock again. So when the Socho hits, I can actually go ahead and sew a bit. And I did get even more jerseys. Oh my goodness. Please believe me when I tell you that this is not a common thing for me. As I said, I don't even remember when I bought so much fabric. So be prepared when I show you my whole pack of jersey fabrics I did get. I mean, yeah, I know it is a lot. But I did stick with my color scheme. I have a bit of cream jersey, and each of them with the ribbing. I have a bit of olive jersey. Here, I don't remember what this one was called. It is a peachy color. This was called coffee brown, I think. It's a very nice top color. And this one down here had the lovely name Mud. Yeah, I love them. I am really happy with these colors, and I can't wait to wash them and put them in my yarn cupboard. because these will make for great basic sewing pieces, I'm sure. And I have just one more acquisition, actually a bit of a fun one. I got myself a cover set, duvet cover set, it is called. This is from the H&M home section, and it's a seersucker, and I have done this before. I just bought fabrics that were intended to be tableware, like a tablecloth or bed sheets, or like these, a duvet cover set. I don't know if this is the true English name of these. That sounds strange. Probably just not a vocabulary I'm using that often. And as you can see, it is just a very, very simple seersucker in this cream color. And this should become a button-up shirt at some point. And yeah, so that is a pile of new fabric, and I couldn't be more happy about it. And yeah, and with regards to knitting plans, I would love to tackle the cabled vest next. And good news, it was my birthday in February, and I did get a gift voucher for our local yarn shop. So that is happening very soon. I will be picking out some yarn for that vest, and also an exciting announcement. I will be traveling to Copenhagen in the beginning of May, and I fully intend to visit yarn shops there. So I have already planned to pick out some yarn very soon for the vest, and probably for a sweater or cardigan then in Copenhagen. That's what I'd love to do. And I would really like to stop by the Knitting for Olive store and just I have never ever worked with their yarns except for one ball of the silk mohair when I was trying to find a matching color. I don't even remember the project, but I have never used their merino, and I can't wait to see all the colors live. Yeah, so that is what is happening in the knitting world. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, for having a cup of coffee with me and chatting about our favorite topics, sewing and knitting. It was really lovely having you, and I can't wait to meet you here on the Yarn Over Heels channel again very soon to have another cozy chat. Thanks, bye!